Hello and welcome again to Military Mayday. Pointing out a few pieces on the chessboard. A little more news for you here. As strikes devastate Gaza, Israeli forms unity government to oversee war sparked by Hamas attack. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu joined with a top political rival on Wednesday to create a wartime cabinet oversee to fight to avenge the gruesome weekend attack by Hamas militants. The cabinet, if he sealed off Gaza Strip ruled by Hamas, Palestinian suffering mounted as Israel bombardment demolished neighborhoods and the only power plant ran out of fuel. So he's got him a wartime cabinet. That's basically making him a dictator, even probably more so than most. It's a view of the rubble. Israeli Prime Minister joined with the top political rivals Wednesday to oversee avenge Hamas suffering, blah, 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 blah. Netanyahu vowed to crush and destroy Hamas. Every Hamas member is a dead man, he said in a television address. The new cabinet establishes a degree of unity after years of bitterly divisive politics, and at a time when the Israeli military appears increasingly likely to launch a ground offensive into Gaza. The war has already claimed at least 2,300 lives on both sides. The Israeli government is under intense public pressure to topple Hamas after its militants stormed through the border fence Saturday and massacred hundreds of Israelis in their homes, on the streets, and at an outdoor music festival. Netanyahu alleged that the attacks included atrocities such as boys and girls who were bound and shot in the head, people who were burned alive, women who were raped, and soldiers who were beheaded. The Prime Minister's allegations could not be independently confirmed, and authorities did not immediately offer further details. Rescue workers and witnesses have described horrifying scenes, including the slaughter of elderly people and finding bloody rooms crowded with massacred civilians. Militants in Gaza are holding an estimated 150 people hostage, soldiers, men, women, children, and other adults, and they have fired thousands of rockets into Israel over the past 5 days. The cabinet will focus only on the issues of war, will be led by Netanyahu, a senior opposition figure, former defense minister said. Still, Israel's political divisions remain. The country's chief opposition leader was invited to the joint cabinet, but it did not immediately respond to the offer. It appeared that the rest of Netanyahu's existing government partners, a collection of far-right, ultra-Orthodox parties, would remain in place to handle non-war issues. Israelis' increasing destructive airstrikes in Gaza have flattened entire city blocks and left unknown numbers of bodies beneath debris. A ground offensive in Gaza, whose 2.3 million residents are densely packed into a tiny coastal strip, would likely result in a surge of casualties for fighters on both sides. Oh, yeah. Hamas launched a fresh barrage of rockets into Israel on Wednesday aimed at the southern town of Ashkelon. Some 250,000 people have fled their homes in Gaza, most crowded into UN schools. Others sought the shrinking number of safe neighborhoods in the strip of land, 40 kilometers long, wedged among Israel, Egypt, and the Mediterranean Sea. After nightfall, Palestinians were plunged into pitch blackness in large part of the Gaza City and elsewhere after the territory's only power station ran out of fuel and shut down. Only a few lights of the private generators are still glowing. The Gaza Strip's biggest hospital, Al-Shifa, has only enough fuel to keep power for 3 days. The Gaza-based official for Doctors Without Borders, the group said that the 2 hospitals it runs in Gaza were running out of surgical equipment, antibiotics, fuel, and other supplies. We consumed three weeks' worth of emergency stock in 3 days. Egypt and international groups have been calling for humanitarian corridors to get in and aid into Gaza. Convoys stood loaded with fuel and food Wednesday on the Egyptian side of the Rafah crossing, but were unable to enter Gaza, an Egyptian security official said, speaking on the condition of anonymity because he was not authorized to talk to the press. Why were they not allowed to enter? In Gaza's Jabalia refugee camp, rescue workers and civilians carried men covered with blood and soot toward ambulances after strikes toppled buildings. Streets were left blanketed with metal, chunks of concrete, and thick dust. Medical teams and rescuers struggled. Let's see here. This attack was a campaign of pure cruelty, not just hate, but pure cruelty against the Jewish people, Biden said at a meeting. Get down here to the bottom of this. I got another story for you. The Israeli military said more than 1,200 people, including 189, have been killed in Israel, a staggering toll unseen since 1973. Gaza, 1,100. Thousands have been wounded on both sides. Israel says roughly 1,500 Hamas militants were killed in Israeli attack and that hundreds of dead inside Gaza are Hamas members. Okay, let's try the other little article here. That was froze up on me. I don't have the greatest laptop. Let's see here. Well, might run out of time before it loads up. There we go. Zionist enemy announces discovery of large number of bodies of its soldiers in settlements surrounding Gaza Strip. In Gaza, October 11th, the Zionist enemy army announced this evening, Wednesday, that it had found a large number of bodies of its soldiers in a Gaza envelope settlements. According to the Zionist enemy's media, the occupation army stated that a number of deaths among its ranks as a result of Operation Aqsa flood rose to 189 after the names of 20 other dead were announced shortly before. Zionists announced discovery of a large number of bodies in its soldiers' Gaza Strip. So here's a picture, a little small one. The enemy media indicated the bodies of the enemy's soldiers were uncovered due to the foul odors that spread in the settlement, confirming that they were killed by resistance bullets. It's noteworthy that the Palestinians' resistance carried out a surprise attack on the occupied Palestinian settlements and towns last Saturday morning, which led to the killing of more than 1,300 Zionists and the wounding of more than 3,000, including seriously, in response to the continuing accumulated violations against Al-Aqsa and Palestinian sanctities. The Zionist aggression against Gaza Strip continues on the fifth day in a row after the start of an operation, as the Gaza Ministry of Health reported in its latest update that the number of martyrs and injuries has increased as a result of the ongoing aggression against the Gaza Strip. The Gaza Strip is subjected to unprecedented, barbaric, violent airstrikes by Zionist warplanes, as a result of which residential towers of civilian homes were destroyed, along with the government headquarters and educational institutes. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Zionist enemy announces the discovery of a large number of bodies of its soldiers. Some pictures. It could be real. It could be staged. Right now, see what they run with. Anyway, like, subscribe. Toodaloo.